In today's video, I want to share a story most people never confess out loud. A story about the quiet moments, the accidental glances, and the choices that don't feel like choices until it's too late. Because they say some moments stay with you forever. But no one talks about the ones you choose to remember. It has been 2 years since that night. The night I caught myself noticing him, noticing me, and instead of turning away, instead of pretending nothing shifted, I let the moment stay. I didn't wake up that morning expecting anything unusual. I didn't dress differently, didn't feel different, didn't think anything in my life was about to tilt. But sometimes all it takes is one look that lingers a heartbeat longer than it should. One look that makes you feel like someone finally sees you, really sees you. After years of feeling invisible. Evan, my husband, is a good man. But good. Good is not the same as being present. Good is not the same as affection, or effort, or wanting to be close. Sometimes good feels a lot like quiet emptiness. A house with the lights on, but all the rooms echoing. And then there was Lucas, the man who looked at me like I still mattered. Like I wasn't just the one who keeps the house running, the one who remembers appointments, the one who clears the table alone after every meal. The way his expression softened when his eyes found mine. The way his attention stayed even in the silence. It awakened something in me I thought had died. He didn't say anything. He didn't have to. Sometimes silence speaks louder than words. And when that silence stretched between us, I didn't break it. Worse, a part of me didn't want to. Is a moment like that a betrayal? I still don't know. All I know is, that night I let him see something I never let anyone see. Something I didn't even realize I'd been hiding. And I've wondered ever since. Did it say more about him? Or about me? Evan and I live in a quiet neighborhood outside the city. Rows of neat lawns, soft porch lights. Houses so similar you could get lost. If not for the mailbox numbers. Everything looks perfect. Presentable. Predictable. Our home is always tidy. Spotless even. I keep it that way not for praise. Because no one really notices, but because order is the one thing that feels steady. Evan likes things clean. He never says it directly, but I see it in the way his shoulders drop. When the pillows are arranged, and the floors shine. He isn't cruel, isn't loud, isn't careless. He's just somewhere else. Even when he sits beside me, he feels kilometers away, lost in emails, work messages, TV hums, and exhaustion. He kisses my forehead every morning. He thanks me when I hand him coffee. But love shouldn't feel like an automated routine, like tying your shoes, or checking the locks before bed. We went from soulmates to schedules, from laughter to silence. And I kept going through the motions, cooking, cleaning, smiling, all while running on empty. Then there was Lucas, Evan's old college friend, the one who made the room warmer. The one who remembered birthdays without checking a calendar. The one who laughed loudly, listened fully, and asked questions that actually had space for the answer. He visited every few months, stayed in the guest room down the hall, brought sparkling cider, and stories from places I'd never been. Whenever he was in our home, the air felt lighter, like someone opened a window in a room that had been stale for years. He noticed things, small things. Things Evan hadn't seen in ages. The day I wore that old green dress, the one I nearly threw out. He paused mid-step and said, "That color has always looked beautiful on you." Evan didn't even glance up. Lucas saw me. Not the housekeeper. Not the caretaker. Not the routine. Me. And being noticed felt dangerous in a soft, quiet way. It was a hot summer Saturday. The kind where drinks sweat faster than people do. We were hosting a small backyard gathering. Neighbors. Friends. The smile because you have to kind of crowd. Evan tried, I'll give him that. He wanted the house to feel alive again. But even during the party, his phone kept lighting up. Ping. Swipe. Ping. Swipe. He nodded at conversations, without hearing a word. Then Lucas arrived. Late but calm. Cider in hand. Sunlight catching in his hair. He greeted everyone. But when his eyes found mine, his smile changed, softened, warmed. Need a hand, he asked, finding me in the kitchen with my arms deep in lemonade. I could have said no, but I didn't. Our fingers brushed when I handed him the pitcher. Not intentional, but not forgettable either. Later, as sunset painted the sky, Evan stepped out to take another urgent work call, leaving me inside with Lucas. The house felt too quiet, too intimate. We moved in sync, refilling trays, collecting glasses, cleaning up without speaking. At one point, we reached for the same stack of cups. His arm brushed mine, warm, steady, aware. I looked up. He wasn't apologizing. He wasn't pretending it meant nothing. He was simply looking. That look. The one that started everything. And I didn't look away. I turned under the excuse of wiping the counter, trying to steady my breath. That's when I saw his phone on the island. A video. Paused on a frame of me, laughing in the park. Hair wild in the wind. Sunlight bright on my face. A version of myself I hadn't seen in years. My heart stumbled. I looked at Lucas. He looked back. No denial. No embarrassment. Just quiet truth. And I should have stepped away. Should have said something. Should have ended that moment before it grew roots. But instead, I stayed. Because after years of being unseen, it felt good. Too good. To be noticed. And that feeling, that single moment, was the beginning of everything that followed. I wasn't looking for anything. I wasn't trying to invite trouble. But once light enters a dark room, you can't pretend the shadows didn't shift. I kept telling myself, it's harmless. Nothing is happening. But late at night, when Evan breathed softly beside me, when the distance between us felt like miles, I'd close my eyes and replay that look. That one look. It was gentle, but dangerous. The next morning, I spent more time in front of the mirror, brushing my hair, adding a soft gloss to lips that had gone untouched for months. Not for Lucas. I lied to myself. But I knew better. I felt different. Awake. Seen. And that quiet hunger, the hunger to be noticed, began to grow. That quiet hunger didn't roar. It didn't demand. It didn't force itself into my day like some dramatic confession. No. It whispered. Softly. Patiently. Like a small flame licking at the edge of something dry. Just enough to warm. Just enough to tempt. In the days that followed, I found myself doing things I hadn't done in years. Putting on perfume before going to the grocery store. Wearing the earrings I used to reserve for special evenings. Adding a little color to my cheeks. A little effort to my hair. A little confidence to my step. All harmless things. The kinds of things women tell themselves they do just because. But deep down, beneath every excuse, beneath every shake of my head, beneath every no, that's not why. I knew exactly what I was doing. Lucas had awakened something in me. A version of myself I had buried under routines, under responsibilities, under years of being taken for granted. And once awakened, she didn't want to sleep again. A week later, Evan mentioned casually over breakfast. Lucas might come by next weekend to watch the game. My heart reacted before my brain could stop it. A small, quick leap. A warm flutter in my chest. The kind that shouldn't be there. The kind you pretend you didn't feel because the truth is too messy. I forced my voice to stay steady when I replied. Oh nice. That'll be fun. But inside something electric lit up. It was wrong. I knew that. Yet the anticipation was there. Soft and embarrassing. And impossible to ignore. I found myself planning things I shouldn't have cared about. What snacks to make. What shirt to wear. How to style my hair. Whether to paint my nails a new color. Or stick to the soft pink that felt safer. These were small things. But they carried a weight I didn't want to acknowledge. Every time guilt tried to creep in, I pushed it away. I told myself, nothing is happening. It's just nice to feel seen. I'm not doing anything wrong. And technically, I wasn't. No words. No touch. No confessions. Just glances. Just feelings. Just moments. But moments can build. Moments can stack. Moments can become more than you ever meant them to. A few nights before Lucas's next visit, Evan invited him to dinner. Just a casual dinner. Nothing fancy. Nothing special. But the moment Lucas walked through the door, the air in the room shifted again. He wasn't dramatic. He wasn't trying. He wasn't doing anything wrong. But he noticed me. Not in a heavy, inappropriate way. Not in a way that demanded anything. But in a way I hadn't been noticed in so long. During dinner, Evan talked about work. His usual monologue of deadlines and meetings. And I sat there, quietly sipping my drink, fingers tracing the rim of my glass. At some point, I crossed my legs slowly beneath the table. Not intentionally seductive, just a natural movement. But Lucas's gaze flickered. Barely. Just a second. But it was enough. He wasn't watching Evan. He wasn't watching the TV. He was looking at me. Not with hunger. Not with impatience. But with thoughtfulness. Like I was something interesting. Something worth understanding. And for a breath. Just one. I let him look. That night, long after Evan fell asleep. Long after the house settled into silence. I lay awake restless. Every quiet sound in the dark seemed louder. Every thought felt sharper. Every feeling felt exposed. Eventually, I slipped out of bed, wrapped a light robe around my shoulders, and walked to the kitchen. No lights. Just the soft glow of the refrigerator. When I opened it for a glass of water. And there he was. Lucas. Leaning against the counter. Sleeves rolled up. A glass of water in hand. He wasn't startled. He didn't jump or stutter or pretend. He just looked at me. Really looked. And I froze. Not because I was afraid, but because he saw me in a way that made my chest tighten and my breath catch. He didn't speak. I didn't speak. The silence held us like a delicate thread. His eyes traveled gently to my tired posture, to the robe slipping softly across my collarbone, to the shadows beneath my eyes. Not in a disrespectful way, not in a hungry way, but in a way that said, I see you. I see all of you. I stayed longer than I should have. Long enough for the moment to settle, to breathe, to become something undeniable. Then finally, quietly, I nodded and turned back toward my room. But I felt it. His gaze following me, down the hallway, until I disappeared. After that night, something changed. Not in words. Not in action. But in the space between us. A new current lived there. Quiet. Dangerous. Alive. Evan would talk about work. Oblivious as always. And from across the room, I'd feel Lucas noticing me again. Not constantly. Not boldly. Just enough to remind me. He sees you. He remembers. He hasn't forgotten that night. And maybe the scariest part was how much I didn't want it to stop. Then came the night that would change everything. The night where the line we'd been tiptoeing around started to fade. And the space between what was innocent and what wasn't became impossibly thin. Evan had a 2-day work trip out of town. A trip he'd half apologized for. While I helped him pack, he kissed my cheek goodbye, with the same routine affection, the same automatic warmth. And as I watched him drive away, a strange mixture of guilt and relief twisted inside me. That evening, Lucas came by. Planned. Casual. Innocent. At least on the surface. Just to watch the game. Just a normal visit. Just nothing. But nothing had not been nothing for a long time.